So if you watched the previous video, you have seen the work that went into preparing our Trike Goldie for the trip to the USA. We've decided to take our own trike with us after finding out that hiring one over there for the whole trip was going to cost around 18,000 US dollars. We've also found the freighting company that are going to get Goldie over there for us. So as part of this video, I'm also showing some of the work on the trike in a bit more depth for you to see.
Right, today the next part of our trike stripping down, renovation, making better, etc, etc. First thing we had to do today was remove the wiring loom. It's not a very nice wiring loom, pretty ropey, so we're going to completely rewire the back end. That's the loom we've taken off, and it was a bit of a bodge to say the least. So next up we want to move the dampers into a more usable position. The dampers were mounted from there, you see my finger, down to this point here, and we reckon it was just not correct. We wanted to move the dampers further back. We've got proper adjustable dampers, so this is the first effort of us moving the dampers. We've made some nice bushes for the top and just made some brackets at the bottom. It's got to be strengthened a lot more, but it's giving us a lot better ride height and a lot better suspension movement. We have the A-frame, sort of semi-modified, just about to come up and be fully modified. And then we have the other side, which, as you can see here, let's have an extra frame put on, and then around here we've modified the bracket to make it all very nice and strong. Plus we've taken out the inserts that are in here and welded them up as well. And as you can see, we've got the old damper bracket was mounted here. That's how the old damper bracket was, and that's also been cut off and then put on. Right, I'm still bracketing. I'll have a look at this. Is the nasty side. Look, you can see the gap, the spaces in the bolts. Nothing really lines up. Pretty grim, really. And go over to the other side, and this is the latest spec, the new one I've made. So I've made it out of some proper bar, put some nice webbing on there and there, and to clamp it, I've actually used an aluminium spacer here, and then a proper Allen cap bolt to go through the light. So a lot tidier job. Right, the next chapter on our trike modifications. Here's the subframe. We've been getting on quite well with it. The actual main mini part of the first front bit of the subframe is done, as you can see here. We've now welded some brackets onto here. Can't get to all of the welding, but we'll do that when we finally strip the trike down. But there's more than enough weld on there at the moment. In this area where my hand is there, this is where all the fuel tank is going to go. Probably I'm in the sun a bit there, so that gets us out of the sun. I'm just starting up here. This little bracket and aluminium boss there is to support the seat. I've done one that side, and I'm going to do one that side. So the next thing we've got to do is make all the bracketry coming back to hold the panniers and the top box. So you might think, well, how are we going to do that? Because at the moment it's all in thin air and it's a lot of measuring. So what we have done up here, we've bought a spare chassis frame, should I say? No, not racing, no, it's bites of frames. So here we go, here's the frame. Karen's blasted it. I'll show you some little pictures of, maybe even a little video of her blasting all the chassis to just make it look a bit nicer and tidier to work with. Now the guy that we bought the trike off of, he had a workshop. He didn't have fantastic facilities, so he's done the best he could. And as you can see, looking at the back end, everything on for the panniers and everything else really just supported off these few bolts up the top, and there was nothing in this area here. That's why we've made this frame and come to here to give the whole back end a huge amount of support. So we're using this frame, we put the old frame back on it so we can get what they call datum points and reference points, so we can measure off of this frame onto the new frame. Onto the frame, sorry, onto the frame that we're modifying for the trip. Okay, that's where we are. Smile, you're on video.
Smile!
Right, it's the 7th of March, it's a Monday evening, just to update on where we are. I haven't got a clue which update number this is on our videotapes, but here we go. Right, we're actually progressing. It seems to have taken ages, but the A-frames, as you can see, they're missing. They're away with quite a few other parts away to be powder coated. Once they can come back, we can then do another little final mock-up and then take all the top away, and that can the fuel tanks, the top frame, and that can go away for powder coating. Then we can put it together. Yippee. So what we've been doing tonight is I've been working on the fuel system, Karen's been working on the wiring, because the wiring's been a bit of a mess, but as you can see, talking of the wiring, we've tidied it up. We've got a nice little block on here with all the fuses, and that's where we're going to run all the rear lights and ancillaries from and to. Apart from that, yeah, fuel. Had some fun with the fuel, because obviously we've got a fuel tank there and another fuel tank there. So what I've got to do is get the fuel out of both tanks into the main fuel tank. So what we've got, you might be able to see it here, there's a black line there, which is the feed for the tank, and this one here, little one there, that's the breather, and they come up. We had great fun the other week putting both lines into the tank, but we managed to get them in and get them sealed, which is quite cool. And then the other thing I've been doing tonight is running the lines you can see under here, so it sucks out of, I can get there, that one under there, and sucks to there and comes round to the other side of the trike. Finally get round there. There we go. And you can see that's where we've got the pump, so it comes, sucks it in there and blows it out to the tank there. One other thing that Karen's been working quite hard on is this area just here hasn't got a cover, so it's all you would see is the side of the fuel tank. So Karen, in the last couple of weeks, has been making moulds and is making 2 nice covers to go over there, so it looks a bit more of a finished product. Okay, that's the update for today.
But before all of this, we needed to find a tent that was lightweight, durable, waterproof, and that packs down to a small size, but still gave us the internal space that we needed. So it needed to have a living room area and a sleeping area. We did lots of research and opted for the Lone Rider motorcycle tent, so we purchased it in September 2021, which gave us plenty of time to test the tent out properly on several camping trips in the UK. It weighs just 5.44 kilos with a packed size of 60 centimetres by 20 centimetres, and when set up is 2.4 metres wide by 2 metres high and 4.15 metres long. The sleeping area is 1.4 by 2.2 metres and 1.7 metres high. We spent around £600 on it, which was a worthwhile investment considering that we would be using it as accommodation in the USA when we had no other plans booked. We also invested in some packing cubes that enabled us to squash down our clothing to fit into the side panniers. After the rebuild of the trike with the new rear frame and reserve fuel tanks, the engine work is done with new timing belts. Then Goldie comes back to have the differential rebuilt and to get a fresh MOT. The process then starts to prepare the trike for transit. Goldie will need to be packed in a crate to go in the cargo hold on the flight over. I needed to remove the front screen, front mirrors, rear top box and armrests, and everything like our clothes and camping equipment all needs to be packed on board so that we can get the weight of the trike fully loaded. After a last check and a ride out fully loaded, we take the trike up to Heathrow. Mark and myself have had our own preparations to do. We needed up-to-date COVID jabs, our electronic system for travel authorisation or ESTA, international driving permits, travel insurance and the trike road insurance that we got from Progressive Insurers, who are an American insurance company. We also needed rucksacks for our own flight over that could hold our bike helmets and computers, some bits of clothing and any other techie equipment. And we then had to apply for EPA exemption for importing and exporting the trike for the trip. One thing that we also needed to do was to decide the time of year to do the trip. The first thing was to avoid the crowds, the next to avoid the really hot and really cold weather, and the third to be able to make the trip from east to west and back again in our timescale of 80 days. We bought a huge map of America and stuck pins in it for our points of interest and got apps on our phones to also do some research on places to visit and try to map out a rough route, but with no set plans. We decided to start in Washington DC and end up in Boston and do the trip across and back from mid-April to mid-July. We also decided that as far as possible we would stay out of the big cities and try to enjoy more of the scenery. The exciting bit was getting Goldie on his way to be crated up, and 10 days later we were due to get our flights over to the USA too.